Hey everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of McCall Media TV with myself, Angela McCall. So today, I just thought I would give you an example of how you could automate a lead generation funnel into your business on the back end of some events that might be occurring out on the big wide world and internet. So in today's video, we're going to look at how a ticket being purchased in an Eventbrite promotion triggers Zapier to then send that person's detail to my Active Campaign email marketing list, but I also want that information in my lead or pipeline funnel software, and so I actually need to send it somewhere else as well, to a software called Bigin by Zoho. So in this video, I've got a whole bunch of automations all taking place from the moment that person out there in the cosmos hits the submit button on Eventbrite. Okay, so let's jump on over to my left-hand monitor screen where you can see that I have set up an Eventbrite workshop. It's a workshop that I'm going to be running in tandem with another business in the Milton Keynes area. And obviously, if people are going to be coming to this workshop because they want to learn about its subject matter, ironically, it just happens to be digital sales funnels, then that actually fuels my business with potential leads, which is the whole idea of me running a workshop. But instead of me waiting for this event to take place and then going into Eventbrite and downloading a CSV file of all the people that are attending the event, I want things to happen more dynamically, on the move, on the fly, as they happen and they register, which means I need a little bit of a process. Now, I could do this manually by giving myself a task of pretty much double checking Eventbrite every morning when I sit down at my desk and see what's happened in the last 24 hours. But I'm a digital techie and I want you guys to be too. So with a little bit of effort up front, I've automated an entire process to help feed my business with leads. And this is what's going to happen. So let's just go into the whole ticket scenario first of all. So maybe I've seen a flyer, a social media advert, maybe someone at a networking event has told me about this and I think, oh, I've checked Angela out. This looks just the cup of tea that I need and I want to attend. Now, I have, and I will do an Eventbrite tutorial in the future. I have set up a promo code to discount this by 100% purely because I'm doing this in partnership with another business, but I obviously still want to track the leads for A, numbers attending because of the venue size, and B, obviously because they are then digital data that I can work with in my business. So I have just applied a discount. Obviously that's not relevant to this process. As you can see here, the ticket price is now $0. So I'm going to check out like I would be any user. Now, the only thing I will say is because I'm already logged into Eventbrite to show you behind the scenes, I am actually working in incognito mode. So if you look in the top right corner of the screen there, you'll see me wiggling my mouse cursor around the incognito mode. So I'm in Firefox demonstrating this today. So I'm just going to really put in my real life details. So I'm a real test case scenario. Obviously, I don't want everybody bombarding me with my personal email address. So I am going to just hide that on screen from you guys. So I've worked out the data that I want to collect. So for example, I want to know what the job description is, their company name. So I'm going to put my own business in here so we can track the data so it's easier for you guys to follow. We obviously want to collect people's website addresses. So I'm just going to put in my actual parent company there. And then of course everybody would need to tick this to carry on and then they would make the purchase. Now obviously that's when Eventbrite will go into the purchase payment processing. We're not going to cover that right now, but what essentially has happened is that you can see now an event has triggered or a ticket has been created. Now I need to work quite quickly because I do have some time caps on everything that's going on. So we'll come back to my event screen in a minute. So first of all, let's look at Active Campaign. Well, up here in the top right corner, you can see that one person has subscribed to my mailing list less than 8 minutes ago. And if I click on that person, and I'm showing you this in two different ways, you will see right now that my details have been collected and that it's got a couple of tags in there to show where I've collected that person's data from and what they were signing up for and which mailing list they've gone into. Now, the reason I'm power talking is if we go into my automations within this software, what I have done is created a funnel inside my Active Campaign to actually then handle that person. So you can see here quite clearly there is one person in the queue. Now I'm going to explain this should you be an Active Campaign user and why I'm doing this. First of all, the first criteria I've got is I've added them to a specific mailing list within my business. but that person will be checked on entering to see if they have this tag word existing. And I'm going to explain that to you in just a moment and how that works. If they do, then we know why and how we want to process them, because it could be that I've got 3 or 4 different workshops being advertised and I don't necessarily want my user to get the wrong email for the wrong event and turn up at the wrong time and all that kind of stuff. So I need to check what they're in the email marketing list for. So when I come out of here, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them for 5 minutes. Now, the reason I hold them for 5 minutes is because when data is sent around the internet, doesn't matter why, if it's an email that's been sent or if it's data that's being processed, like in this example, that data is broken up into packets. All those little multiple packets go different routes around different servers and basically will then be recompiled at their destination, and they will all arrive out of order and also milliseconds apart. Now, if I triggered this instantly without having this 5-minute holding pattern, what I've experienced with Active Campaign is that their software is so fast that actually it tries to process things when all the data hasn't necessarily arrived. So for example, Active Campaign could be receiving the data on who I am, but maybe the tag word hasn't yet shown up, and then they were going into the wrong flows and the wrong work processes and automations. So by holding things for 5 minutes before it's processed, it just allows for that back-end data, invisible to the eye, to actually catch up and keep pace with the software. So the first thing that I do is I always add everybody to my master list, because that's the list that I download once a month, keep it as a CSV file as a backup on my obviously company infrastructure. So should anything happen, my account get hacked or I fall out of love with Active Campaign, I don't lose my data that's been hard earned. Second of all, I actually want to add this person long term to my studio's marketing list, but at the moment I'm trying to prime something for the future, so I've got a couple of lists going on, so that's more it behind the scenes housekeeping. And then what we've got is a reason then to check over that person's details. Now, the first thing that we've got is an if statement. So it's either a condition is met, which is the word digital sales funnel, and it's either going to be a yes or a no. If it's a no, we're going to end the automation. Obviously, I could do something to handle that in the future. If it's a yes, I'm going to make sure that the workshop tag is added. So if I ever want to run an email just to people that have attended my workshops, maybe with a future list of other things because they like me and they've been before, but we don't know specifically what subject they want, I can email anybody with the general tag workshop. But I've also got a tag specifically for the workshop. So again, if I want to email anyone specifically in the future about this, maybe I'm doing a follow-up course and it's not relevant to a lot of people, then I can identify them. And then I'm going to send them a little email straight away, which is actually a YouTube video that I did last year on sales funnels that might be useful to them as a bit of a pre-warm-up to the workshop. And then I'm going to wait a day, and then I thought I would talk to them about my digital diary. If they've got any problems in the meantime and they can't wait until they attend the event, maybe they can book in directly with me for a one-to-one. So it's a lead process in its own right. Okay, so whilst that is processing the data, and I'll show you how it reached there in a minute with a Zapier connection, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Bigin, which is by Zoho, and it's the pipeline lead generation tool that I use to track everything that's going on. So basically the opportunities my business has in the next maybe month to work with new clients and all that kind of thing. Instead of trying to retain everything in here or talk to my team, I've got a nice sort of tool that manages my data. So logging into my back end left-hand monitor here, I've literally just created this pipeline this morning. That's why there is nothing in it, and it's very basic at the moment because I'm not 100% sure where and what I want to do with this. But if we go into my contacts just now, okay, and I'm obviously going to grey out most of the screen, but we will look down here to see that myself exists as a contact right now, and you can see all of my actual details, my business, and here we've got the source, so why and how this person came into my mailing list and my business data, and I will be able to do things with them. Now the interesting thing that I've got here is Bigin also has a workflow management tool, and I'm just going to show you that now. So here's the workflow tool that I've got created. So here is the workflow for how I process my leads into my business. So this is going to have a trigger. So when a contact is created, which has just been sent to it by Zapier, okay, we're going to check what the source is. So again, I'll explain how I've done that in a moment. And then we're going to do something. So first of all, we're going to wait for 10 minutes. because that's the shortest minimum amount of time that this particular software will allow me to wait. I obviously don't want them to wait until tomorrow before acting it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this person as a task that I have to do. So I've put add new task, so the person's first name and last name, so I know who I'm looking for in my contact list, to relevant pipeline. So I've given myself an instruction. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a look and see what happens inside my activities in just a second. Now, unfortunately, Zapier doesn't have the power to inject a person directly into a specific pipeline. They can add that contact into the database in this software. I then have to do what I want to do with that person this side inside this environment. Now, unfortunately, Bigin is quite a simple piece of tool, so it doesn't really have the ability to identify a particular person, because ideally what I would like to do down here is say, if this person has been generated by this source, inject them into this particular pipeline, so I can go and just miraculously open up my window this morning or tomorrow morning and see all these new leads for me to talk to. Because it doesn't have, and it's not sophisticated enough to do that just yet, I've got this 10-minute trigger adding a task to my to-do list, as it were. Now, if I quickly go over to my to-do list, you can see at the moment we've only got 2 items here. I'm going to leave this video now for a couple of minutes and come back after 10 minutes has lapsed, and we should see a 3rd item and task for me to do. Whilst we're waiting for that, now let's step out and just go into Zapier. So with Zapier, Zapier makes you happier. Zapier is a really fabulous piece of sort of toolkit, what you want to add to your arsenal. Basically, most programs these days will have the ability to build apps or connections or connectivities directly with one company and another. So for example, from Eventbrite directly into Active Campaign. In that particular relationship, that connection doesn't exist in either end of the software. So I need a middleman to help me, which is what Zapier is existing for. So I've got a Zapier account that basically has hundreds and thousands of lots of different companies, and it knows how to talk to all of these different companies and how their systems are set up, so we can start getting traffic, or data I should say, flowing about different software systems. So let's go and have a look at exactly how that does it. Okay, so we've logged on to Zapier and now I'm at my Zap. So I've called this Active Campaign Workshop Digital Sales Funnels. I'll probably have to change the name because it was only an afterthought. I thought while I'm doing all of this, I can actually send it to Bigin as well. So I'll change the name later. But essentially the first trigger, as you can see there, all starts with Eventbrite. So when we look in here, choose app and event, this is basically connecting these 2 first setups. It's connecting my business software to Zapier, so it knows how to log in and know what my account is. But the trigger itself is where things get really funky. So obviously we're looking at my organisation. When all events occur, I could have made that just being a ticket being sold or updated, but I've chosen all events for the moment. I want to basically check on this particular event. So obviously in Eventbrite, I'm going to have 3 or 4 different workshops at any one time that are live. So obviously this particular trigger or Zap is existing for this particular workshop. When I've got it, I'm going to test it. So basically what happens here now is it's a way of me running a scenario where it collects all the data, and you can see some test data that I've done in the past. And all I'm doing is having a look at what information Zapier is receiving from Eventbrite. So obviously, you know, I'm going to want the user's first name, last name, their email address. I'm going to want to know, you know, their address to populate into my mailing list or my digital environment, and all the other bits and pieces, as in what event they booked onto, what date it was, and there's all sorts of data. So you can have a good old nose there in your own time. When you're happy with that, let me just come out of there. Then I basically, where am I sending it to? So the first time I'm sending it somewhere is to Active Campaign. Again, these first 2 are all about me connecting my Active Campaign software to Zapier. But once it knows who I am, we can then deal with things. So the first thing I'm saying is go to this list and insert into the email address field the email that we've collected. Insert to the first name field Angela, and then last name Muktest, and away we go all the way down. So we've got their full name, attendees. Okay, so what we've got down is my details all the way down, everything is now being stored into Active Campaign. I think at the bottom here we've also got the event name being collected. Then we can test the action, which just basically gives us a chance to look through the data and make sure it's all being paired up to the right locations, and then we can retest and continue, and that's good. So let's quickly just go and have a look at that now. So if we go into Active Campaign, my contact now should have expired. It was 13 minutes ago. So if we go into contacts, it's just loading. I'm obviously going to look for myself. Where am I? In here somewhere. There I am. So now, compared to like earlier on, I've now got other things added. So it's added that other workshop tag. It's added me to the other 2 mailing lists. So if I want to just send an email to anybody that's involved with the event side of my business, they'll see it. If I want to send anything about the design studios, they'll see it. I got a copy of the original master list. No matter what happens in life, I can save my data, and I can see that they've been in the automation that I wanted to handle that particular tag. So everything is fine and dandy there. I've got my users' details, and I know now moving forward that this person will be kept up to date in any particular emails I want to send as a result of those tags and email lists. So that's that side of things done. So in Zoho, so that's job done. Again, first 2 here are connecting my Zoho Bigin account to my Zapier software, but then I've got the actual action now. Obviously this is my details, and obviously just like before, we've got the first name, last name of the user, the email address, company name ID. I have found a bug in the Zapier software that wasn't processing the company name properly and storing it, and it was causing the Zap to fail. So if you're watching this video and you're having a similar challenge, for now, do what I've done and just put that field of that company name in the description, just so that you're collecting the data. And if it means you do a quick manual fix, then you do a manual fix, but at least the data is not lost. And I've, in the meantime, at the end of February here, 2022, I have reported this bug fix to Zapier in order for them to fix it. So that should be done hopefully by the time you guys actually watch this video. In the meantime, obviously I've got the mobile number, all the other bits and pieces, everything's good. Then I test the action, make sure all the data is going to the right fields, and then I can close it. And that is basically how the data is collected from Eventbrite, sent to my Active Campaign for my regular email marketing activities within my business, and also for me to track my lead generation process manually. So I don't have a sales team just yet, but essentially I could have a sales team going into Bigin every morning and seeing what tasks are created for them and so on. Now if I refresh this screen, and as you can see here now, even though I couldn't get the software to inject this person, which also happens to be me, directly into the particular pipeline, I have actually been able to trigger an activity or a task to exist that I can go into. I can have a look at it, I realise I've got to do it, and obviously I can go and check out who this random person Angela McCall is, and then obviously I can go in there, look at the source, realise who they are, and away they go. I can just manually enter them into my pipeline. So that is pretty much this entire sales funnel process, lead generation process, all triggered and automated. Now it may seem that's quite complicated, but what it's going to do is it's going to save me missing valuable opportunities. It's organizing me, it's structuring me. So actually when I'm on the front line working hard in my business as a small business owner, you know, that's jumping from things like doing my accounts to suddenly doing my HR needs, to dealing with my team requests for help, to then thinking, what am I doing? I've got to go and see what work in leads. It just helps organise and simplify my workload and the pressure on me as a small business owner. So that hour and a half, maybe 2 hours now, by the time I filmed this video, I've spent perfecting this timeline of processes. It means that moving forwards, I can just duplicate the Zap, I can just change the names of the workshops, I can duplicate the process in Active Campaign, and of course the workflow inside the Bigin Leads software management tool. And actually the next workshop that I launch, and the one after that, will probably be 5, 10, 15 minutes max worth of admin, setting up my automation, and away we go. And because I've done the due diligence now of making sure everything's streamlined and everything's working, I literally can clone and duplicate all of my activities and just change the names of the tags, the keywords, and the specific workshop names through the whole process. So I hope this video was a really good idea for you on how you can use automations to help you in your business activities. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel. I am a small YouTuber. YouTube is an absolute nightmare trying to establish yourself as a business on it, so I do appreciate your support and your commitment to me, and I will see you on another video real soon. Bye bye.